Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. In this series, we are looking at every wrestling game that was released for the original PlayStation. Are they all good? Have any of them aged well? Well, let's check them out and see where we end up. Let's go! First in the series, we have Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling Toukon Retsuden. On September 29th, 1995, the very first wrestling game was released on the system. You might be surprised that it wasn't the WWF or WCW that got there first. Instead, New Japan Pro Wrestling were first off the marks to get a game on the brand new system. Starting development in late 1994, the team at Ukes wanted to create something different to everything that we had seen before. Instead of sticking with the typical styles of 2D sprites that we had become accustomed to, Ukes decided to go fully 3D with these graphics. To think, this was the same year that the SNES was still pumping out 2D games like Stardust Suplex, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 2, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 95, and the latest Fire Pro game, Super Fire Pro Wrestling Queen Special. Ukes teamed up with New Japan Pro Wrestling, who gave them full blessing to visit the New Japan dojos to get voice clips from the talent, as well as being able to sit down with the wrestlers and really get to study the moves and see how they could work. Nowadays, Ukes are legends within the world of wrestling games, having developed classics like Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain and Wrestle Kingdom 2. Not only was this the first wrestling game that they developed, but the actual first game they developed, which is madness. They are still developing wrestling games to this very day, with the much anticipated AEW Fight Forever game coming to the end of its development. So let's check out the full roster. Being a game that was fully licensed by New Japan Pro Wrestling, we got 11 of the biggest stars they had to offer in the mid-90s. These included, and obviously excuse me for the pronunciation, Tatsumi Fujinami, Riki Chozu, Keiji Muto, Masahiro Chono, Shinya Hashimoto, Hiroshi Hase, Genzuki Sasakai, Shihiro Koshinaka, Jushin Thunder Liger, Hiroshi Tenzan, Koji Kanemoto, and Scott Norton. It also contained some hidden wrestlers that you could access during the title screen. For instance, to use the Great Muta, you must type circle, right, triangle, up, square, left, X, down, square, left, triangle, up, circle, right, select. Then to select the Great Muta, go to the wrestling selection screen, toggle to Keiji Muto and press select. The other secret characters are Power Warrior, the ring announcer, and the referee Tiger Hattori. Each character actually has different attributes as well, so they do feel slightly different in regards to their strength and speed. So let's take a dive into the graphics of the game. Looking back now, it's easy to laugh at the thought that these graphics were amazing at the time. Yes, everything has that blocky, PS1 glitchy look to it, but it's far from what we had at that time. The trouble now is that this look just doesn't have the same charm as the generation before. 2D sprites are still loved to this day and have probably become what people think of when they are not gamers at all. Everything on screen flickers away, including the crowd. Everyone has the same kind of podgy look to them. Not as podgy as some of the games we have coming up in the future, mind. Every move actually looks like it connects though in these games. The hitboxes are on point and nothing misses by a mile. When we get a match started, we are always greeted to the two wrestlers in the corner and the ring announcer introducing them.
シングルマッチ30分一本勝負青コーナー170センチ97キロ重心サンダーライガー
Even this seemed like a huge deal to me at the time. We also get Red Shoes to look after the action, although he will drive you insane with the way he tells you to brake every time you get too close to the ropes. Most wrestling games at the time resulted in frustrated kids mashing their Sega or Nintendo controllers into oblivion to try and get an advantage. In this game, Yuke's worked on a rock paper scissors style playing system. So for instance, a strong grapple will always defeat a strike will beat a submission, whereas the submission will always beat the grapples. One of the best things the gameplay has to offer is the rush mode. To use signature moves, you have to appease the crowd, so you have to keep altering up your attacks to keep the crowd on your side. So you can't keep spanning that Liger pile driver over and over again. One of the best things that I would always bust out was when you had won the match, you could go completely heel on your opponent and continue to attack after the match. Shockingly compared to wrestling games of this generation is that there are only singles matches in these games, no gimmick matches at all. Heck, you can't even have a tag team match in this game. But that doesn't really matter, that's not really the point of this game. It's all about that single 3D action. While looking at reviews for this game, you can find vastly different opinions on the game. In Play Magazine, the game received a score of 84%, while in PlayStation Power Magazine, it gave the game 2 out of 10, which is extremely harsh. So in theory, since this is the first wrestling game on the system, every other game should be better than this one, right? We'll see. At the end of every review, I'm going to add all the games into Tier Maker to see where they rank at the end. For the first game on a brand new system, I think this game is pretty good. Obviously the games that follow may have shinier graphics and more modes, but as a starting point, this is a pretty good game and was nothing like the games I played before. Seeing the 3D graphics was so new to me at the time, and coming from the Mega Drive, this game seemed light years ahead to me as a kid. One of the best things this game has to go for it is that the matches actually feel like wrestling matches, which is a really big thing. Some games really struggle with this, but this game does do that pretty well. So for the first game in this series, I'll place it in the 3rd tier. Is it a great game? Probably not. It's fun, it's a great novelty for the first wrestling game on a system, but I think it fits perfectly in the average wrestling games tier. Nothing offensive here, and it is a great start for what you would expect to see in the future. I'm really excited to see where the Toukon Retsuden series can go. There are 2 more games on this system, so it'll be interesting to see how they improve on this original game. So that's it guys, thanks for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we will see you next time for Power Move Pro Wrestling.